Hey there, people. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. Today's episode is all about the writing process and why it's important to have your own personal writing space. We also go over different authors' methods of writing and their writing processes, and we finish with one Hunter S. Thompson's daily routine, which you do not want to miss. Enjoy. Today's topic is writing processes. Alright, so, butt sex. Yeah. I don't know why I just keep thinking about butt sex. It's a real problem.
No, it's not.
I help customers or something at work, like, hey, how you doing? Butt sex. What? What can I get for you? Butt sex. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Hola, Senor Spencer.
Hola.
Would you like to discuss your writing process?
I mean, yeah, I can dive into that here.
What better way to get into it than dive right in?
Dive right on in.
That's just like our drinking problem.
Yeah.
Would you like some whiskey? Yeah, have a little bit. 4 bottles later, you're dead in the ditch somewhere.
It's alright, though. Fun times.
Yeah.
Well, my writing process is I really don't have much of a writing process at this moment.
That's a good start.
Yeah, oh yeah. At this point in time, I'm more just trying to get whatever writing I can get done either on my days off or before or after I'm at work, or on the rare occasions I might be able to get a couple paragraphs done while I'm at work. That's very rare nowadays.
Yeah, the timing issue. I used to write a lot on my lunch at work, and anymore I don't have the time.
Yeah, but this is something that I know that I need to work on more and really nail down a good process for me, because I think that would really help not only my output but just my process as a writer, to get more work in and hopefully improve the quality of it quicker.
Well, yeah, definitely the more you write and the more consistent you are, the better you'll get, and the faster you'll get better. My process, I was pretty much the same way for a while, and I wrote about this recently. I used to just, if I woke up early in the morning, I would try to get some writing done, or a lot of times after work, or like you said, even on lunch. My problem was, it was not just whenever I could, but whenever I was in the mood.
Yeah.
And when you write, whenever you're in the mood,
it's so much better.
Well, yeah, but then you kind of enforce that habit of only being able to write when you're in the mood.
Nah.
So if you're not in the mood, you're not going to write, and then you'll put it off. So say you sit down, you're going to write, but you're not in the mood. Fuck it, I'll just do it later or some other time when I'm feeling it. But then when you keep doing that, it'll start adding up, and then eventually you're not writing anything.
No.
Like what I have done recently, I kind of set a schedule for myself. Usually I'll get home from work around 4 o'clock, and I'll relax for a little bit, eat, and just usually around 5-ish what I'll do if I don't have anything going on, I'll take about 10 to 20 minutes and just start thinking of ideas. Just let my mind go free, just flow freely, and just think of different ideas and story concepts and things like that. That way I feel like my brain just switches to more of a creative flow, like a creative state, rather than that analytical thinking about what I did in the morning or what I have to do.
It's not as forced that way.
Yeah, one of the main problems a lot of writers have, when you actually stop and think about, okay, I have to write this, it immediately feels like work.
Yeah.
Whenever you think, oh man, I got to knock out a chapter tonight, you shouldn't think like that. It should be like, I want to knock out a chapter tonight. I want to knock out more than a chapter. So with my writing process, like I said, I'll let the creativity start flowing a little bit, and then I'll sit down, and oftentimes I'll do a little writing warm-up, maybe just create a random topic in my head, or how we did the episode on writing prompts. I'll just find a stupid prompt and just write a quick couple paragraphs about it, just to get my brain kind of into the writing mode. Switch from just where you're just throwing out any ideas in your head to actually focusing them on whatever story you're creating. And then once I get into that position, I'll sit down and I'll just really start writing whatever story I'm working on or whatever piece. And when I do that, I find I get in the zone a lot quicker. Because it used to be whenever I'd write, say, on lunch or something for 20 minutes, or whenever I was in the mood, it was really hit or miss.
Yeah.
I would sit down, I might get a good 10 minutes in, and then I lose focus.
And then I bet doing like that screwing around stuff where you just come up with random things helps whenever, like, instead of having to do, writing part of a story or whatever, you have to do an article instead that you might not be feeling as much, but you got to do that little bit of creative warm up. So you're like, oh, at least I got to do that a little bit. Now I can do this article.
Yeah, it puts you in the right state of mind. Usually when I write an article anymore, like yesterday, when I wrote an article, I wasn't really in the mood for writing like an article. I wanted to work on the story I actually used the article as the warm-up.
Okay.
So when I sat down, like I already had the creative ideas flowing, and then that started kind of flowing into the article. So instead of just more of a how-to, and then you just kind of go into like an informational article, it was a little more literary. There was couple more metaphors and things I normally wouldn't put in that kind of article, and then that transferred right into my actual story that I was going to work on after that. And then it almost feels kind of like a reward because you're like, okay, I got the more boring part out of the way, and now I get to do I get to have my cake now.
Yeah, you get to have the treat.
Yeah, I ate the spinach, now I can have
the Scooby snack.
Yeah, the Scooby snacks and the Cavassier.
Yeah.
But I'm always interested in the different habits of writers, because I notice one thing a lot of writers have in common is a good writing space.
Yes.
And like the article I wrote recently, a good writing space is like the perfect foundation for building your writing routine. So you get your writing space somewhere where you're comfortable, it's quiet, or you could be a coffee shop writer, just wherever works best for you. Wherever you get that optimal performance in your writing, if you routinely go there every time you write, you'll get in that mood faster. It sets that zone quicker.
Yeah, because some people like it to be like dead quiet. Some people have background noise going on. It's just literally each his own.
But whatever your writing space, if you can make that a habit of just always going into that space or somewhere similar, you get into that writing zone quicker. And then once you do that, that's your foundation. And that's the start of your process. So, say for me, 5 o'clock, okay, I'm going to start writing. My writing space is in my room at my writing desk. So I'll go in there, I shut the door, and I start writing. And, the hardest part of writing is always starting. Even if you're already working on something, just getting the words out. So usually you have a couple paragraphs even of just bullshit that comes out. But once you get started, especially when you're in that space, it comes out faster and it just flows freer. And then you can build upon that and create a routine. And when you create the routine, it's even easier. So every day, you don't think about it anymore. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
So you just sit down, you just start writing, and you're already in the zone almost immediately.
And I always forget what they say, but it's like, if you do something for I think it's like if you do it for
10,000 hours or something crazy.
Well, I think that's for
the master.
I'm just talking about for it to I think it's like if you do something for 2 months in a row, it starts to become a habit.
Yeah, that's why
something in that ballpark.
That's why so many people fall into bad habits of watching TV all night or something, because that's an easy one. And if you do it day in, day out, all of a sudden
it just becomes that automatic thing that you do.
But when I started writing that article about writing spaces, I started looking into the different processes of different writers. So like a Neil Gaiman, for example, he had built his own writing gazebo in his backyard.
Oh yeah.
And what he would do is he would go in there and he'd just shut himself in and write and write and write. For him, he was a little bit different because he would get sick of the gazebo, and then he would go write somewhere else, and he would ignore it for years even. And then he would come back to it. That shows me that not everybody has to have a specific spot that's the only place they can write. Because you don't want to do that either, because say, what if you're on the road for business or something, and you're in a hotel? You can't write in hotels because it's not your writing space.
Yeah. You don't want it to be a crutch at the same time.
Yeah. It's more about building, like I said, that state of mind rather than the actual space. For me, writing at a desk in a quiet room, that could be anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be my room. That's just where I'm most comfortable. What about you? Where are you most comfortable?
Right now, I'm either doing, I have a small table in my bedroom, and I either do some writing there, or I have, in my living room, there's the kitchen table, not the kitchen table, the living room table it's one of those weird like lifty up tables.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll do some stuff in there, and like I won't turn the TV off, but like I'll mute the sound, and so there's just kind of stuff on TV, and then try to do work on stuff there. Those are the two main places that I'm getting the majority of my work done.
So you're pretty much more comfortable there. Like, say when you're at work or something, you're trying to write in a break room or somewhere busy, you probably don't do as well. You can't focus as much. Like, I know I've tried writing in, like, cafes and coffee shops, and it just doesn't work for me.
The stuff at work is more... I very rarely work on story stuff at work. If anything, it's an article or a review, because a lot of times I have notes written down for both those.
So you could knock out the main points.
Yeah, so like I like this about this story, so I can go on my phone and maybe do that paragraph of the review talking about like the story or the art or even if at that point I don't have the notes, I try to do the notes.
Yeah, come up with the...
So then when I get home, I already have the notes made, and then I can just jump into it after I get settled in after work.
Another thing I always find interesting is the amount of writers who can listen to music and write, or prefer to listen to music to write, which usually is the coffee shop writer. Like, they have the headphones on, they can listen to music, and I can't do that at all. If I listen to, like, even instrumentals, I could do that for, like, articles or something, but when it comes to actual storytelling, it throws off my whole vibe, and I feel like it kind of seeps into whatever themes I'm trying to set. Say I'm listening to like some kind of like a heavy metal theme or something, but I'm trying to write a romance, like a more romantic scene. It's not gonna work. It throws me off. So I just prefer silence.
Yeah, I don't. I can have there to be like a little bit of sound because like I think with like my ADHD, like I think if there's not any like if it's completely quiet, it's easier for me to lose focus on the writing. Like if there's
start thinking about random things.
Like if it's that sound, I can ignore the sound and focus on the laptop.
See, that's an interesting point. I never thought about that. But there are a lot of people who do get distracted. You would think get distracted by the sounds, but a lot of people need that to drown out whatever is in their mind that's distracting them. Which I get that too, because sometimes when I write articles, I find that I have trouble, like if it's a boring one too, like something I'm not really interested in. Like when I was doing a lot of freelance work, I had the problem where it would be, I would be assigned an article that I did not care about. I would come up with any excuse to do something else. Like I would do laundry. I would fucking start like sweeping the floor.
The house needs a new roof.
Yeah. Man, you know what? I think I might need a trench in the backyard. I'm going to just start digging a big ditch and see what happens. Might collect some rainwater. But anyway, that doesn't jive with me normally, like with my storytelling. But when it comes to boring articles, I can't do it. Like I do need a little bit of something, but still music doesn't work for me. Like the TV's on, I can ignore it.
Yeah.
But usually that's in the other room. If the dog's bothering me, that takes me out.
On the TV, you can have something on that you don't like. So it's easier for you to ignore. If you have music on, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be something you like. And it's going to be hard to get your story done when you have Wu-Tang telling you that they're nothing to fuck with. Like.
Yeah. Well, I find that if I have, like, Coach on TV and Bill Fagerback is talking and talking, I could definitely drown that out. Like, I'm not paying attention to that at all.
Leave the poor man alone.
Oh, man.
If you ever make it big and he's still around, you need to, like, cut him a check or something. Or, like, if, like, one of your stories gets made into, like, a movie or show.
Just cast him?
Yeah, you have to make sure he gets cast in some kind of part.
I would definitely do that. The old Bill Fagerback.
The tried and true. Is that just going to be a staple of the podcast now?
Yeah, especially because so many people... I'm going to bring Bill Fagerback back. Justin Timberlake brought Sexy back. I'm going to bring Bill Fagerback back.
That's just as good.
Got that Fagerback back, girl. Okay. As far as my actual writing process when it comes to the story, I always come up with like a weird ending or just a random idea. It's never like a chronological thought in my head where, it'd make a cool story. A guy who shoots the president, but then it turns out the president was an alien. Like, I usually don't think in specific orders, it's always like the ending. Wouldn't that be cool if the guy shot the president and everyone's gonna come after him, but then it turned out he was a Russian spy or like something.
And it's like, how do I get there?
Yeah, that's usually my process, is the how do you get there. And I try not to be a discovery writer. I try to actually plot things out, but it almost never works. My stories always end up just me writing and just seeing where I go. Like, I do like to have a general outline to keep me out of the woods, so to speak, keep me on the path. But when it comes to actually just staying focused and following a strict path, I can't do that either.
And I'm sure that there's a good chance of that changing once we farther out into like longer storytelling,
like novels and whatnot.
Yeah, because like if you got like a 10,000 word story, you only have yourself with so much room to get into the woods.
I feel like it's almost more necessary though for those shorter stories, just because like for me, I always go over.
It probably is more necessary, but I'm just talking about your use of an outline.
Right.
If you're gonna write a 20-page novel, there's a good chance you're gonna want like at least what I want to happen in this chapter, and then by chapter 5 I want these events to occur. This person's dead in the next one.
Well, when I've done novel outlines, I've always set them up where I do a chapter by chapter synopsis, almost like what you think of like the writing blurb on the back of a book.
Yeah.
So I'll do the chapter synopsis, just kind of briefly describing what I want to happen or what's happening in the chapter, and then I like to do a character art sheet. So I'll draw the character where they start in the story, their climax of the story, and where they end in the story. That way I kind of know their growth arc, because I don't want my characters just to be the same throughout the whole story, unless that's specific to that character, but that generally doesn't happen.
Yeah, those are both pretty good ideas.
And then I also I usually will do a general story outline in that arc too, like the where it starts, the climax, and then the end. But I don't do a strict outline for that. I give myself more room to roam, so I could just kind of figure out what's happening when I want it to happen. But I'll just throw in any weird shit too, and then that makes the writing more interesting.
And you can always go back and tighten it up, get rid of this, read it, and be like, oh wait, what was I thinking? Like, it'd be so much better if I did this instead. It's kind of like how we talked before about whenever you read somebody else's work or watch a TV movie and you're they should have done this and that. You just take that old mindset to your own writing after you get it done. Just polish it up a little bit more.
Right. Well, I definitely find I take ideas a lot from different TV shows and movies and even books I've read. But what I always end up doing is, like, when I write them, it never ends up even remotely similar to the story. It just has a basic thread that I can pull from. Which, like, the Twilight Zone or even Black Mirror now are awesome for that. But I feel like Twilight Zone's a little better just because it's older.
Yeah.
The story ideas aren't going to feel so stolen, as you will. Because if you take something from Black Mirror, like, everybody's seeing that now. And if you want to change up, like, how they did the episode with the memory things in your head where you could replay your memories, there's not really any way you're going to spin that where it's going to be original.
That, or even if I feel bad for anybody who's trying to do, like, futuristic tech stories, because even if you come up with something that wasn't an episode of Black Mirror,
it could end up in one.
That, or they're just going to be, if any, people would just be, oh, you're just trying to be like Black Mirror.
Assholes. I always thought it would really suck ass if you worked on a story for a year, like a book, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, and you come up with it, and it's just the way you want it, and then bam, a fucking Black Mirror episode comes out that's your story. And that can easily happen now because there's only so many original ideas normally.
Especially with all the media that's going on now. You got all these streaming services now. You got Netflix.
There's just too much content.
DC's doing their own. Disney's doing their own. Jeez. You got Hulu.
There's too many.
Yeah.
You know what I found really weird? There is now, I guess, a genre of writing called climate fiction or climate science fiction. Pretty much like, how like climate change, but I guess it's what happens in the future. Almost like a sci-fi, like a post-apocalyptic world kind of thing. but it's a whole genre now.
I just figured I would put that underneath like
Science fiction or
yeah,
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
But what if you're writing a story about the future where we go back in another ice age or something? Now that's a whole genre. So how many of those are going to turn into tropes? Everybody just does them now.
Yeah.
Because that's why I kind of steered away from sci-fi now, because I started looking into it and everything's been done.
Yeah.
I mean, other than your tech sci-fi, which is still kind of... It's still kind of like ground you can like uncover, new ground you can uncover. But there's so much that's already been done.
Yeah,
just recently.
The only good thing about that is that they're coming up with so much stuff in the tech world now that if you're up to date on that kind of stuff, it'd be easy for you to see something that might inspire you with an idea or something.
When they released something, I think it was around September or so, about quantum entanglement, where I believe they sent a particle from one place, like across the globe or something crazy, like to another place, and almost like we transported it. And I was thinking, well, that makes a fucking cool story.
Yeah.
So I started, I almost finished it too. I started writing a story about it. It was like a 10,000 word story, short story. My twist on it was a guy, and he keeps like reliving the same day, almost Groundhog Day style. But like weird things keep happening. Like every time he comes to, like certain things are different. Like say he keeps waking up in this apartment of this girl and she's not home. But every time he wakes up, like something in the apartment's different. Like my idea for it was at the end he was gonna end up being like either like not necessarily android, but something to do with he was transported. In the future, they're testing the quantum entanglement theory, so they're transporting a person. And he was the guinea pig, and when he got transported, like his atoms or something, I didn't flesh it out yet, but it was essentially going to be his atoms or something got switched. They got placed wrong, so he keeps coming back, and they keep trying to regenerate him to the place he's supposed to be, but it's not right, so his brain's all scrambled. And then I started reading about like the new science of what they were doing, and I was like, well, now people are already working on stories like this.
Yeah.
So how original is it going to be? It's almost like you have to come right out of the gate and write it really fast and get it published.
That, or you could... The flip side of that coin is when it comes to stories, you might not have the most original story, but you wrote it the best. Like the best version of that story.
That's another possibility, because that's happened in the past, because look how many different vampire stories there are.
Yeah. Or just, I mean, like, even... Like, take movies, for example. How often do we have a time when there's two movies whenever the two asteroids, are coming to the planet? Like, you know what I mean? You get two of those a year, or, you get all these superhero movies each year now. Or...
Yeah, like with the two Hercules movies at the same time. The problem is, I feel like in the book world, usually the first story that does it, or at least does it well, is always going to be more remembered. So, for instance, I Am Legend. And there's countless vampire stories and stories based like around that premise, but everybody remembers I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there was, even during that time, there was probably a lot of copycats that came right after that. A lot of it is genre fiction, where you'll get the like horror stories and stuff, and that's how they become tropes. But at the same time, you can only reinvent the wheel so many times, and when you copy, like say, an I Am Legend, are you going to do it better because it was so well done to begin with?
That maybe instead of focusing on remaking the wheel, you just focused on putting a new spoke in the wheel.
Could do that.
Like just different, okay, on your I Am Legend thing and the whole vampires, where you get like 30 Days a Night, where like its little thing is it's vampires in Alaska where the sun doesn't come out for a month.
See, that's an original way of doing it.
Yeah, you still have that horror genre that you're working on, but you put you're not completely reinventing the wheel, you're just adding on to
what's already been built.
And then you get like Twilight that just burns it all down.
Burns it to the fucking ground. And then shits on the grave.
It does worse than shit on the grave. It digs like after it's been burned and dead and gets buried. They fucking dig a hole up, take a shit in the hole, and then bury it up. So like when it rains and stuff, it just fucking oozes into it and is always with it.
They bury the shit and it oozes onto the corpse of the vampire franchises.
Yes.
That sucks. I had a really good point and I don't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't you. I forgot it before you even started speaking. All right, so circling back around to the actual discussion here, like the different times a day you write also vary person to person. For instance, when I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with Steven Kotler, he was the one who was talking all about the flow states and getting into that creative mind frame where you get in the zone pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, he was discussing like his writing process, and what he ended up doing was he wakes up at like 4 in the morning or even earlier sometimes, which the theory is good, and I've tried it. It does not work for me because my brain doesn't work, but he likes to start writing before he's actually awake, like really awake, because his brain is still in that creative dream state, which is a cool idea.
Well, it's also nice because I'm sure he doesn't have to get up, do some writing, and then go to work.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a job or not other than writing, but he was discussing how, like, when he does that, like, he gets up and it's before his analytical brain comes in and starts correcting things, and, like, he could just write and be free, which is cool. What he likes to do also is write when it's really quiet, because there's nobody up at 4 in the morning, like his family or whoever. He gets kind of that peace of mind, and that would work for me if I was functional that early.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like because I've tried it, I've had a little bit of success, but I can't get up early enough where I'm going to get in the groove. Like, I'm not getting up at 4 in the morning and start writing. But again, that has to do with your day job and different things like that. So if you work a 9 to 5 even, like, good luck waking up that early and then wanting to really get some. Like, if you can, more power to you.
Especially if you got a commute or anything that you have to do.
There's a lot of factors in. But like you were saying earlier, or maybe I was saying, like, a lot of people like to write in the evening. Like me, I like to write after work. Even though I'm tired, I feel like my brain's already at its maximum level of efficiency.
You figure that's almost kind of like if you're writing when you're on the tired side, you got to be very close to writing when you just got up. You figure your brain has to be pretty close to the same. Like, all right, I really don't care right now. And
but
let's
you know
just see what happens.
I will say that I've had that backfire with me with the evening writing, because there's times where I get home from work and I'm so tired that I'll sit down to write, and I'm looking at a fucking, even with my routine in place, normally I can go right into writing. Sometimes I just can't. I just look at that blank screen, and it's the worst fucking feeling. And it's not because I can't come up with ideas, it's just because I don't want to do it.
I mean, there's been times I've literally been sitting there, I'm like, alright, let's go, let's write, and next thing I realized, like, I'm getting off the couch. At some point, I laid down and covered myself up with like a blanket that I don't even remember doing. Like, well, I thought I was
hands in your pants, Al Bundy style. You're half asleep.
I thought I was writing something, and I looked and I get like a couple words on the page, and it's just like I just must have just tapped out.
You don't know how many times I've had something that was due, and I look at the screen, and it's literally just like random letters, because I just started hitting letters or held in the B button or the B key for 30 seconds. It's like, oh. Or how many times I wrote a sentence, deleted it, wrote it, deleted it. Or the worst too for me, shuffling through ideas when I'm in that state. So I'm like, what would be a good story, like a good flash fiction story for Friday? I'll sit there for a second and be like, ooh, I know. How about a robber who goes... No, that's trash. Okay. How about an alien? No, I don't... That's stupid.
I don't feel like doing aliens right now.
And I'll do that 50 times, and then I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to bed Spencer to write the flash fiction article. Oh, man. Like, what about you? Do you have that problem with just getting too tired to write after, like, say, work or something? Because you said you don't really have a set writing schedule.
Oh, yeah. All the time. Like, the tiredness is the main adversary, and it's not even most of the time like a physical tired.
Just that mental exhaustion.
I think if it was a physical tired, I think I'd be able to handle it a little bit better. But my mind really feels like it's just dripping out of my ears, like after most nights at work. And it's like, how did I even survive today without going to jail?
Now, do you think it would help you if you had a strict writing schedule? Now, I know your work schedule kind of sucks because it varies, which that's really tricky, and that's a reality of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky, and I work 8 to 4 every day, so I can have that strict after-work writing schedule, and it doesn't vary. And then I'm off on every weekend. Like, and I find, funny enough, on the weekends I have the most trouble writing, because even though I'm off, like, for some reason I just can't sit down, and I think it's because that routine gets broken.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it would benefit you if you were able to really set to a strict writing schedule? Like, say, after work every day at this time, you're going to sit down and write.
Definitely, like, and I even went to the point of, like I told you, I got myself a pretty, like, decent, like, day planner, and I just haven't been able to, like, because what I wanted to do would be go through, like, alright, this day I work 5 to 2, the next day I'm off, the day after that I'm, like, 1 to 10, and be like, alright, on this day I'll do some writing after work. On my day off I'll try to get some work done during these times. On the day that I work late, I try to get, like, maybe, like, some flash fiction done right before work or something like that. But, like, I just haven't been able to be able to make myself to commit to doing that on any kind of regular basis.
Well, I feel like when I worked various hours, especially, like, when I had my previous job, I would work just any weird shift and all kind. Like, you never got to pick your shifts at that job. So I would work various hours, and I would never be able to stick to a strict writing schedule. Like, that was when I wasn't really writing. I always wanted to write, and I wrote before that when I was younger, but I couldn't stick to it. Like, I would start something, and then I'd put off for months and months, and then it would just die. And I would do that all the time because I didn't have that routine. Honestly, if I still worked those kind of hours, I don't know if I would be where I am now, like, writing wise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I would have that discipline to, like how you said, you have to schedule it after work this day, before work this day. Oh, I have a day off. Just random days throughout the week. I don't know if I'd have the discipline to really get that to function. Like, I think I would, kind of like I did before, have too many stop-starts. Because even, like, years ago, we kept starting, like, different comic projects.
Yeah.
And we would really get into them. And, like, for a while, we kind of had a little bit of a schedule going, and things were coming into place. And then normally it was, like, the holidays happened.
Yeah.
And that just fucked everything up. And then our routine was broken, and we were done. Like, we just couldn't get back to it. And I feel like a lot of writers have that problem where they get into a semi-routine, and then it gets broken, and they're just fucked. And they give up. And that really sucks. And like you said about bringing up the day planner, because you were making fun of me about my diary.
Yeah.
As I'm doing my quotation fingers. I got a Zen journal, and I brought it with me on our last press event. Every morning, I write in it, like, my goals for the day and my task for the day.
Which is a good idea to do.
Dude, that honestly, not to sound like one of those new age fucking hippies, but that has changed my life because I've been working so much more because of that and more efficiently.
And, like, that was, like, kind of something I wanted to do with the day planner too, is you know, not only the writing but also other things that I had planned to, like, if it's work on a story, then work on an outline, or even, you know, watch this episode of this thing to give me a break for a minute, and
just
then
to plan out your day better. See, like, because I got the Zen journal because it had the week, like, it had the day planner, the weekly planner, and the monthly planner. Honestly, I don't even plan. Like, I plan on every day, but, like, the week has, like, a little calendar, and with the little calendar you can, which is what I was doing before. I was using my Google Calendar just to schedule every day what times I was going to do things and stuff. And that didn't quite work out for me. Like, I'm still not the type of person where I could schedule things by specific time. Like, if I say, okay, I'm going to sit down and write at 6. 7 o'clock, I'm going to go to the gym. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to come back and make dinner. That doesn't work for me. I need a little wiggle room. So I skipped that part in the Zen journal, and I just go, like, the goals, the task. And that thing, like, why it's a Zen journal is because you write what you're grateful for and things that make you happy and things like that. And I feel like that kind of, I don't really care about that so much.
Yeah.
So once I finish this, I'm probably just going to get, like, a leather journal and just do the goals. Because that's mainly what I got it for. And that has been working phenomenally. Anyway, let's get back to writing processes here. I found this a while ago. I thought it was quite hilarious, and I wanted to share it. It was Hunter S. Thompson's daily writing schedule.
Didn't he do a shit ton of drugs? And
he did all of the drugs.
Yeah, like, every day.
Every day. Well, I mean, he ends up writing, so that's why I say it's his writing process. I don't know if he had to do this every day to write, but here's Hunter S. Thompson's daily routine.
I figured somebody, like, followed him around for a day when he was still alive. I can't remember who it was, but go for it. This is hilarious.
Okay. 3 p.m. rise. So he wakes up. 3:05 p.m. 5 minutes later, Shavaz Regal with the morning papers, Dunhills. I'm assuming Dunhills are cigarettes or something. I don't know if those
I think so, yeah.
But Shavaz Regal's whiskey.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes after he wakes up, he's drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes and reading the paper.
Well, it's like 3 o'clock. It's almost time to drink.
3:45 p.m. 40 minutes later after that, cocaine. Just says cocaine.
Cocaine.
Does his first line of coke. I'm assuming against line. 3:50. 5 minutes later after the cocaine, another glass of Shavaz and more Dunhill. 4:05. First cup of coffee. Normally people drink the coffee in the like when they first wake up.
Yeah.
No, he goes for the whiskey.
And the cocaine.
Yeah. So 4:05, first cup of coffee, then another Dunhill. 4:15, more cocaine. Now here's where he goes a little healthy.
He hasn't even been up for 2 hours yet.
Right? And he's done 100% more cocaine than I've ever had in his first 10 minutes of being awake. That's a weird time. So 4:15 he does cocaine. At 4:16, 1 minute later, he does orange juice and another Dunhill. So is he just smoking nonstop?
Yes.
4:30, can you guess?
Cocaine?
Cocaine. What about 4:54?
More cocaine?
More cocaine. But what about 5:05?
Cocaine?
That's 3 cocaines in a row. So pretty much 4:30 to 5:05, he's just doing cocaine. 5:11, coffee, Dunhills. 5:30, more ice in the Shavaz. So was he sipping that the whole time, or he just...
Maybe he just has a big glass.
By the way, I'm not a huge fan of Shavaz.
I can't say that I've had it.
You might have tried it from over here sometime.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility.
It's in the back of my cabinet. I'm not a huge fan. Then again, I got it for Christmas, so I don't know which one I got. I don't even remember. I'm sure they have better ones than whatever I got. It was like a gift set one. 5:45, cocaine, etc., etc. It's just cocaine. 6 p.m. So he's been up for 3 hours now.
So much cocaine.
After all that cocaine and orange juice, he has some grass to take the edge off the day.
Seems about right. He hasn't ate yet.
Well, wait. 7:05. So 4 hours later, I don't know what he does from the hour from 6 to 7, but 7:05, Woody Creek Tavern for lunch, Heineken, 2 margaritas, coleslaw, a taco salad, a double order of fried onion rings, carrot cake, ice cream, a bean fritter, Dunhills, I like how they throw that in there, another Heineken, cocaine, and for the ride home, a snow cone, which apparently is a glass of shredded ice over which is poured 3 or 4 jiggers of Shavaz. So he has a whiskey snow cone. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I might have to try that.
You think it would melt the ice, though?
You think it would be fucking disgusting. A whiskey snow cone. Also, he had 4 drinks during his lunch, not counting the Shavaz. By the way, 7:05 lunch.
And he's doing the driving.
I don't know if he's doing the driving in this situation, but most likely any other time, yes. 9 p.m. Start snorting. Oh my god. 9 p.m. Starts snorting cocaine seriously. Seriously. What the fuck was he doing that whole time? He did like 50 lines of cocaine already.
He's just fucking around. That's his warm-up coke. That's like his stuff that's like mixed with like baby laxative and stuff.
Oh my god.
This is his straight hardcore like
The thought of the serious cocaine use literally made me inhale whiskey up my nostril on accident. How the fuck do you do like, I don't even know how many lines that was, and now you're starting seriously, so is that at least 3 in a row, like just snort. Okay, anyway, after he starts snorting cocaine seriously, because he was just warming up before, 10 p.m., he drops acid. So now he's just having a wild night. No wonder why, if you watch his later interviews, that man was out there.
He's having his own personal rave.
Lord. 11 p.m., chartreuse, cocaine, and grass. So now he's classing it up a little bit.
Yes.
11:30, cocaine, etc., etc. I would like to know what goes with the cocaine. Is it cocaine mixed like with something else? Is he doing PCP? Or is it just, it's a mystery, he goes in the other room for a while? Maybe that's code for beating it.
Maybe.
Can you beat it if you're on that many drugs?
I don't know with all that coke, I think.
I think your heart would explode. 12 midnight. Hunter S. Thompson is ready to write. So that's his daily routine before he gets to writing. Now here's his writing routine. At midnight, so needless to say, he likes to be up early in the morning to write. 12:05 to 6 a.m. Chartreuse, cocaine, grass, Chavaz, coffee, Heineken, clove cigarettes, switching it up, grapefruit, Dunhills, orange juice, gin, continuous pornographic movies. What? Wait a minute. So while he's writing, he just has a continuous loop of pornos, probably shitty 80s bush pornos on TV or whatever nearby.
Yeah.
So how we talked about some people need the TV on just as a sound to drone out, he likes the sound of people making love violently.
I'm sure that's what they're doing on those tapes.
They're making sweet, passionate whoopee, as they used to say back in the day. 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. Sorry, because 6 a.m. The hot tub champagne. What is? Did he sit in a hot tub? I guess in 6 in the morning and drink champagne. That's what I assume.
That's what yeah.
So the hot tub champagne, Dove bars, fettuccine alfredo. I guess that's his dinner. 8 a.m. I'm not sure what this is. Halion. Maybe that's like a sleeping pill or something, or.
You think he would just be ready to collapse at that point?
Well, at 8:20 he goes to sleep. So he sleeps from 8 in the morning
to 3 in the evening,
and then he does a lot of cocaine throughout the day.
And how much time was actually spent writing?
Well, it said 12 to 6, midnight to 6. Midnight to 6 he wrote, but again, how much writing he had done? Because it's a giant paragraph of just random drugs, alcohol, and pornographic images that are also flowing at the same time. I feel like when I get, like if I have 1 or 2 drinks, I can write effectively, but if I have more than that, my writing goes to shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be like doing a lot of cocaine, but I don't think the writing would be good.
You probably get a lot of it done. It's just the quality of that.
Well, I know a lot of people take Adderall.
Yeah.
And apparently that's supposed to really get you set in writing and all that shit.
That's like meth.
Pretty much. I wouldn't want to do that. I'd be scared. My heart would explode or something. That frightens me, the amount of cocaine that man did in a day. He must have got a lot of money for his work.
Yeah, like...
I've never read any of his books, so I really do want to read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But I seen the movie. It was fucking wild.
Apparently he, I remember hearing in a podcast, he, like, for this politician, like, he wrote, like, a fake scandal and made it so he lost the election.
Oh.
Just because he came up with some fake shit and everybody kept on asking him about it and it just, like, tanked. Just tanked his campaign.
I know he hung out with the Hells Angels for a while, too. Just because I guess he was writing something for him. And he saw a lot of fucked up shit and was fighting with them at some point.
Well, at least we know where you got the cocaine from now.
Anyway, we've been doing this for like an hour, so we should probably wrap this up. But to wrap this up, I'm going to give some sage advice from Hunter S. Thompson. If you really, really want to write well, and you want to get in that writing zone, you must do a shitload of cocaine.
Seriously.
Seriously.
The coke must be serious.
If it's not serious, what are you even doing writing?
No.
If you're not hammered drunk in the first 10 minutes of waking up, why are you even writing? I don't know. Maybe that'll be a podcast for another day. Anyway, keep writing, and we'll keep reading things about people doing cocaine. Yeah, see you later.
See ya.